Yo guys, today we're going to be talking about Graviton Lance. Now, it is an exotic pulse rifle, and it is an elemental one at that. Now, this is a weapon that was also leaked a few weeks or a week before the launch of Destiny. We saw a lot of gameplay of it in PvE, and it's actually a pretty decent PvE weapon. But my thought process on it was, how does the black hole perk work in PvP, and how does the detonation work as well in terms of AoE damage to other people? I will say the black hole perk is one of those things that it is a double-edged sword. Its third shot of the burst does really high damage. With that high damage, it's not just the damage itself that's really high, but also the amount of flinch that you possess on your enemies whenever you hit them with that. The problem is that it is the third shot of the burst that is actually going to hit that high damage. Now, the reason why I say that's a problem is that normally, whenever you actually land your shot, especially when it comes to pulse rifles, the most accurate shot on your pulse shot will be your first initial shot. The next consecutive shots after that will more than likely be inaccurate because of the bullet spread. And with it being the third shot that is going to be that shot that will hit that high damage, that tends to be inaccurate or unreliable at times, because you don't want to necessarily always put yourself in a situation where you have to land that crit there with your third shot. Now, you're probably like me, like how much of a damage difference are we looking at? Headshot damage for this weapon outside of its black hole perk is only 8, okay? As in the headshot damage is only in 8. Now the headshot damage with the black hole damage is, of course, 51, which is massive. That's huge. Now body shot damage is 5, and body shot black hole damage is 33. Again, those are the differences between what those weapons hit based on its own unique perk and what it is set to. If you wanted to compare this to a weapon of the same archetype, and this archetype is a 360 rounds per minute archetype, I took something like Encore and went in there and actually got some gameplay of it, and it actually hits 23 a headshot and 15 a body shot. So again, it's one of those things where you're really going to have to sit down with yourself and say, okay, I essentially have, if I can compare this to Destiny 1, a Hawksaw versus a Parthian shot. Okay, the problem is that Parthian shot had at least a fair bit of consistency in the fact that its bullet damage was spread out amongst 3 different bullets. This one, however, is only relying on that third shot. I know Inkuch did a review on this yesterday or the day before yesterday, and he talked about this weapon being very similar to Jade Rabbit, and I agree with that. This is one of those weapons you would want to lane with as much as possible. The issue with laning with Graviton Lance, however, in comparison to Jade Rabbit, is the range. The range in which you can lane with something like Jade Rabbit or a Scout Rifle, just any high-impact Scout, is that it stretches from such a far extent, and the level of accuracy stays there at all times. With the bullet spread on this pulse rifle, you're really looking at problems with that staying accurate from a long distance. Even at a mid-range level to long distance, man, you're looking at some major problems with it reliably landing the shots for you in order for you to put people down. So that's a lot of bad shit, right? You know, I gotta say, it seems as if I'm really down on this weapon. It's not a terrible weapon, and I had some pretty decent games with it as well. It just wasn't as impressive as what I was hoping it to be. Black hole sounds pretty fucking impressive when you think about it scientifically. So yeah, I was expecting some major shit going with this weapon. It does decent damage. It's got a beautiful noise to it. But outside of that, the weapon itself is really not a game changer for me in the PvP arena. Well, guys, that's Graviton Lance, man. Get your hands on it for just, the reasons that I mentioned. I mean, it really is a cool looking and sounding weapon. It does some decent amount of damage in PvE. As far as PvP goes, I still prefer other pulses to it. Nurgle, Nightshade, other pulses that have been in the reliable chain of pulse rifle. And so that's kind of where I find pulse rifle is to be able to outcombat people at a range, at a distance, but also maintain consistency up close. And I don't need a weapon that can do what a scout rifle can already do, because in my opinion, when it comes to laning, nothing can lane better at a distance than a good high impact scout rifle. Well, fellas, y'all enjoy y'all stay, and I'll catch y'all later.
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.